Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka. It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, and welcome to a mini-sode of Baka. This is an anime podcast where every 2 weeks we talk about an anime that we just watched, but we didn't just watch one. We're in the middle of watching one, so we do a mini-sode instead. So that's what we're doing right now. And we're going to think of a random topic off the top of our heads. Then we're going to pretend we're very educated about it. And we're going to talk about it like our opinion matters. And then we're going to ask you to talk about it. You probably won't. We'll move on with our lives and do an anime again next week. It's going to be great. Trust me. Also, minisodes get a much lower quality than regular episodes, so you just need to deal with that.
Disclaimer.
There you go. To talk about this week's topic that we came up with, I need the help of my co-host like I always do because I'm incapable of loving myself. First off,
check our text messages.
We have the dead Bruce Willis to my sixth sense. Jeremy, how you doing?
Oh, I actually know this reference. Yes.
How are you, Captain America?
I am doing great. I actually played the craziest game, and I just have to mention a little bit about it. It was really, really fun and crazy. It's called A Blind Legacy. And this game, it has a really awesome premise, really interesting idea behind it. Because it's obviously designed to be inclusive and to reach out to people who are blind and make sure that they have something really entertaining and medieval to play. But how do you solve this problem if you're playing a knight wielding a sword? And so this game does this by telling you right off the bat, because, I mean, obviously your screen is black. You will see nothing. You are encouraged to close your eyes. It's got a great soundscape. And you are encouraged to follow your daughter, even though everyone is lauding you as the most amazing, awesome knight ever who is incredible. But you can't find out where you're going unless a little British girl is yelling, over here, over here. And I know this sounds like horrible and tacky, but it's the dichotomy of it. Because constantly the game is reminding you how awesome you are and how everybody's terrified of you. And yet this poor man that you are cannot even find his way through the land he's walking through. It is incredible. And I know how horrible I sound right now, but it's
the opinions
amazing.
Of Jeremy are not necessarily the opinions of Baka the corporation.
It's amazing because it tries so hard to be inclusive, and that's a wonderful thing. And yet this is a topic that it would be so hard to stick that landing. Hey, I brought it back. That I just don't know. I don't know if they did. I encourage everyone to buy it and try it. It's amazing. Test your reflexes, if nothing else.
We have another host.
I was going to say, can we do how do I even follow that up?
This is the blind woman falling over a fence to the village. Jason, how are you, man? Have you played any games where you're crippled and normal? Well, you haven't played Heroes of the Storm, so that's about the same.
Yeah,
that's it.
We love socialism. Actually, I like so The Village, I believe, was a decent movie one time, but after the twist is broken, the movie's garbage.
I actually considered Memento for you because it's almost the exact same thing. It's a good movie one time.
Ouch.
It's still a good movie once. It's better than some movies get, right?
I am a little upset because Kerbal Space Program did an update a couple weeks ago.
Go on.
And they broke all my mods.
Oh!
And I am still waiting for a couple mods to get finished. The majority of them are done, but the problem is that the ones that I'm waiting on will break my save. And I have to wait on these other mods to finish updating. Because basically what will happen is pieces won't be there, and so Kerbals will just be left out in space. and they won't have anything to hold on to because there won't be any room left in these space stations because I kind of packed them to capacity because I was doing like hardcore science. And so yeah, they'll either retrograde into the planet and burn up and die, or they'll just float off into space and I'll never be able to save them again and they'll run out of oxygen and die. So yeah, I have to wait.
Excuse me while I go play my dirty console game that's working right now.
Oh.
Actually, speaking
Sorry,
of,
you said console. I got a little sick to my stomach.
Automatic gag reflex.
speaking of game, my name is Troy. I don't know if I ever said that. And I just bought the core rulebook for Edge of the Empire, the Fantasy Flight RPG for Star Wars. All my tabletop RPG experience mostly has been Star Wars. There's probably one or two Dungeons and Dragons that snuck in, but it's usually Star Wars. So I'm excited to get in on this new system that's like 7 years old already. And I might have roped two of other people who have already roped into podcasts, and you guys are really ropeable.
Sounds like fun. I'm up for it. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen often, but when you have good ideas, they're good ideas.
There you go.
I'm up to 2. All right. Okay, so let's go on with our minisode topic and knock this out the park. Jeremy's wife thought of this because she's the smartest of the 3.
She does the thinking for me.
Not just for you. She's the brains behind this operation. Let's be
right.
Every
Let's not
time
beat around the bush.
every time we need true criticism, that's who I go to.
She'll be scoffing at this part.
Tanya the evil. I mean, Tanya the
Yes, that's
wonderfully smart. We're calling it no happy endings, but we are talking about you watched an anime and you're like, this is pretty good, and then you come to that ending and you're like, that ruined it for me, or at least didn't, knocked it down a couple pegs from where you were. So we want to talk about some examples. We got to talk about, like, in general, does it matter if an ending is good or not? And then maybe if we got time, what makes a good ending, or we could say that for a different time. So, guys, who wants to start off with one of the most outrageous ones they have?
I don't. This is Jeremy's topic, right? So why don't you go first?
Okay. One that like really stood out to me the moment that I started thinking about this was Ajin Demi-Human Season 2. So we're going to want to write that down for spoiler.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
I can do it. I got Notepad.
Hold on. Just so everyone knows, if you hear an anime's name, you're about to hear the spoilers for the ending. There will be a list in the show notes of all the animes we spoil in this. Please go check that.
We're actually going to do that this time.
we are full on spoiling. Usually we spoil it a little bit, but we're like full on talking about endings. So I want to.
Yeah. Can't avoid it. So you've had your warning. The fact that Sato doesn't die, the fact that Sato comes back and he gets away at the end, and it just nullifies so much that when I saw that, for me, it dropped this show in my estimation significantly. Thankfully, I was still entertained by a lot of the rest of the antics in the show and everything. But I mean, this could have been knocking the ball out of the park for me if they had just let him die. Just let go of the character and move on, or at least let him get captured, let him get locked up. But the fact that he still stays as a potent character,
threat. He's still Sato the threat.
Exactly. Yeah, really did not like that. Yeah, So I think that my big issue with that is just basically the same thing as Baka. Don't keep bringing back the same villain. Don't tell me, oh, we've knocked him down. No, you didn't. Oh, we knocked him down. No, you didn't. Which kind of Baka is a little issue for me too. So, So there's one of mine. Yep.
The one that. So I'll go with my least disappointing to most disappointed. The least one for me that I just wish it could have had a happier ending, or at least a bit closure. I needed some closure with this one, and there was Akame Ga Kill. Probably one of the better animes I've ever
That's
seen.
a good pick.
And the ending just left me empty. Like, I wanted to cry, but then I also wanted, wait, there's no closure here. I want to know more. Like,
The only thing I would argue, so I agree with Jeremy so hardly. The only thing about yours is, how did you not see that coming?
I was hoping
that show breaks your heart so many times. But by the time it got to the end, I was like, yeah, of course.
Okay, so I would have rather seen Agame die and not live, or I wanted the dude to live so they could like go off and stop being assassins or be assassins together or whatever.
So let me see if I remember correctly. He dies at the end. Right. That's what you didn't like. I loved that.
That's fine, but I wanted her to die too.
Oh no, I love the fact that she's the one that lived, because the show is called Akame Ga Kill, and I never realized it until that moment that this show was never about him. It was about her.
Always her.
No. I got that. That's fine.
I didn't get that until then.
It was the lack of closure for me. Like, I wanted there to be a finale for that character, and it felt like it was taken away from her.
Oh, I get it.
And you're right, Troy. The entire anime was heartbreak after heartbreak.
Yeah.
Because it was amazing story building. It was amazing character development.
It's the Game of Thrones of anime.
Oh man,
it
made
so
you care
good.
about each character, and then they were just like, "Oh, by the way, this one gets murdered."
Yep. It's funny too, because I remember watching it, and as I'm watching, I'm like, "Are they gonna? No, it's not time yet." I was like, whoa! Oh crap! It was one of those where it would catch me off guard because it would toy with you.
Right.
Yeah. It's very.
And it had a very similar feel for me to Basilisk. So I'd put Basilisk and Akame Ga Kill in the same category, where it's a slew of assassins killing each other, good character development. Except Akame Ga Kill is quite not quite a bit, but it's better. It's a couple bars better than Basilisk. But Basilisk had the same issue. You had this romance, you are left with no closure at the end, and I can't. That's rough for me. I don't like anime that doesn't give you closure at the end.
What'd you think of 91 Days?
See, there were no good guys in that one. Not to say that these assassins were good guys, but at least they had a mission and a purpose that was killing a greater evil.
I would agree with 91 Days being in this topic, except for then I found a Reddit post that had all these, like, if you interpret all this, and that made it better for me and brought me back around, or brought me, but probably 91 Days could fit in this category for me.
Yeah, I would agree.
I remember that we had a nice long conversation about this in the episode. Please, listeners, go back, enjoy that. But I remembered that this was one you really had a rough time with at the time, because they didn't. Same reason, they did not tie the loose ends up. Yeah. But I loved it for that reason.
I got a good one.
Oh, what's that?
Dragon Ball Z.
That's on my list. It's on my list.
So hold on. I thought this was about happy endings, or no happy endings. There's no ending to Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, there is.
Nailed it.
I'm not talking about GT, because all GT was garbage, so it ended as garbage. Flying off with the dragon. That doesn't even make sense.
Okay, so you're talking about the end of that saga.
The end of the Buu saga, which is the true ending of Dragon Ball Z, and hasn't even come to yet in Dragon Ball Super. So the ending of Dragon Ball Z takes place after Super, I believe, because I believe in Super they're hinting at it coming.
That's ridiculous.
Oob doesn't exist in Dragon Ball Super yet. They haven't met him yet. So I'm talking about the Oob thing. So when Kid Buu dies,
right,
Goku makes a wish that he'll come back so he can fight him again. He's reincarnated as this little village kid, and then Goku decides to spend his life training this kid. You have two half-blood Super Saiyan sons. You have a family, and you're just like, look, this little kid from this little village, that's my life now. Bye.
Yes.
Bye, my friends. Bye, my family. Like, Goku is frustrating top to bottom for that kind of thought process. But this, it kills the promise of Gohan that had always been, and this new character who didn't even matter is now Goku's entire life focus. Oh, that's so frustrating to me.
Well, so what do you mean it's after? Because I mean, he struggles to get to Super Saiyan 3 in the Buu saga.
Okay, no. So at the end of the Dragon Ball Z thing, it's Buu has been born and then grown up to like 13, 14 years old. So Dragon Ball Super is happening when he's like 4 or 5. So Oob is alive. He's born. He's being raised somewhere. Goku's waiting for him to get old enough to go train him or fight him. And I think in Super they've even made casual reference about this. So of like there's the chosen ones in the village. So I'm not caught up. I'm way back on the dub.
Because I thought Buu was living with Mr. Satan.
Fat Buu and Kid Buu are not the same character.
Okay, I see. So
Oob
the
is the
ending
reincarnation of
scenes
Kid
you
Buu.
see at the end of Dragon Ball Z are years and years and years past the events of the Buu saga.
Right.
Okay.
And Super is happening in between them, apparently.
I actually had a different reason, but Dragon Ball Z was on my list for this, and that is if you have to completely go out of any sensible idea of something that can be tracked or...
Wait, are you just going to complain about power levels?
Yes. I hate what they did with Dragon Ball Z because it's like up to a certain point, you have characters where you understand their relationship.
Topic.
It is, because to me, that was like, that's where I wanted Dragon Ball Z to end. Everything after that was like, what is this?
But
What
we're
did you
talking
do?
about actual endings.
That was
Don't
my
you-
subjective
walk
ending.
away.
But don't you get the point of these power levels over 9,000? The whole point of that scene in the manga and in the show was to show that power levels don't matter.
I get that. That's one way to view it. I like to view it as a really cool meme.
God.
It was the inception of an awesome meme. I think,
Yes.
I don't know. There comes a point when Android 18 can suddenly be as powerful as she is, or Super Saiyans from another multiverse show up that can just observe and then magically jump into Super Saiyan. Like, it's become so crazily nonsensical to me that, and I'm not a kid anymore for me to just be like, ooh, colors, fighting, yay! It's just not. The direction they went to me is a huge
fair
ending.
for your opinion, but that has nothing to do with the ending of Dragon Ball Z.
It's the ending. I understand where you guys are coming from. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a real one?
I do. I have another one.
Real one.
Kabeneri of the Iron Fortress. Biba.
Still love him. Still my boy.
I hate him, and I consider that entire segment the ending because he derailed where that anime was going. And so he changed the ending of the anime. Even though it took like half an anime to do his story, he ruined it. I think. Because he was flimsy and...
You don't just
silly.
mean the final battle. You just mean him as a villain being the later half of that. Man, these are loose, man. These are loose.
The only reason I say it is because I think that it is so intrinsic to the ending. Like, it's the core of what the ending is. It completely derailed the series.
Okay.
And so that's why I kind of have it in that same list. And also non-Baka. Season 2. Horrible, horrible ending for a season.
Yeah. I can see that. But
Yep.
you weren't too high on it in the first place.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, come on, like, ooh, yes, I've released you from prison so we can go and face the final bad guy.
And yeah,
Cut.
ironically, season 1 was opposite. Like, you guys liked it a little bit, or at least Jason did. Season 1 ended, and it kind of raised it up a little bit.
Well, wasn't there something about Jason actually not seeing the last episode of season 1?
I don't believe anyone has revealed that.
Yeah, until the moment. They're outing me. I did go back and watch it,
Okay.
Yeah. Jerk.
But he still came in and voted to watch the second season.
Yes.
Something in the ending of that show.
I had to drop that.
Yeah.
I had to drop that.
He said, "What? You have another one?"
Yeah. I think I've asked you guys before. I don't think you've seen it, but it was an anime called Blast Writer.
I've heard of that one.
The concept was just up my alley. Like, I enjoyed the heck out of the first half of this season. In fact, actually, I think I watched the second season and was just disgusted. But anyways, it was this really cool concept of biomechanical zombies and take over the world, and then at the end is just two guys turn into motorbikes and they race each other because that's a thing, and nothing is taken care of, nothing is quantified, and you're going, where did the story go? Like, aren't there like still millions of like biomechanical zombies like taking over the world? Like, you guys, let's go race.
There's stuff to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that one frustrated me.
My next one would be Wolf's Rain. I don't know if you guys
it.
have seen that one.
Mm-mm.
It's about wolves in the future, an apocalyptic future. They're trying to get the flower child, who's a special being who can bring about the future. Basically, wolves can turn into human form. So you see them as human characters, and they can turn into wolf form and back and forth. The ending is really, really sad. And that anime made me fall in love with those characters. I got really into it. And the ending is just tragic. And then there's like this last scene where it's like, here's them all living in modern day. And it's supposed to have meaning, like reincarnation and stuff, but it felt very unsatisfying to me that not only did I have to lose all these characters, and then you just kind of like hand waved it away. That always bugged me. Sure.
That's fair.
That kind of reminds me of the Merlin British series. Not an anime, but very similar.
Should we talk about what makes a good ending to wrap up?
I got one more I wanted to mention.
Okay.
More of a, yes, we all know, kind of honorable mention. Deadman Wonderland was one of my favorite while watching it. Like, while watching it, this is one of my top 10. And I got to the last 3 episodes, and I was like, this is one of my top 500. Like, the ending was just so anticlimactic. Nothing was taken care of.
The concept of the anime was so cool. I was so into it. And then, that ending was like,
even
not really what I signed up for.
Even when they went into the underground, like, blood power against blood power,
the battles,
I thought that was still a decent idea. I liked the above ground stuff a little better, but then it just kind of but for me, in order for it to be a good ending, closure, wrap up, and at least let me know, like, give me some foreshadowing for the main characters. Like, let me know, like, does life go on? Do they live happily ever after? Do they die? Something. Because when it just falls flat on its face, there's no closure, and that really pisses me off.
Yeah. I think for me, it's very much like a sentence. If you want to tell me some kind of message about philosophy, finish your sentence, and I'll be happy with that. It doesn't have to be a completed story. Like, I don't have to have a resolution of knowing exactly what happened with every character, but you better finish your sentence of whatever message you're trying to send. Yeah. And if you stop and you don't give me a period at the end of it, or you don't even give me the right combination of words that I apparently can't do, then then that leaves me really, really frustrated for very similar reasons. The only reason that I even draw a distinction is because, we've talked many times, Jason, about how you like to have the loose ends tied up. You want your story finished. And I like to have it open-ended. I like to not know necessarily 100% why the characters did what they did, perhaps, or what they're doing. But there is still something that needs to be there. And that is, like, if you're not going to give me that, you better have told me an amazing story that has me thinking about so many different ideas that I still feel satisfied with the meal that I had. And so I think that actually does have a lot to do with the journey of the entire anime. If you can really pack that journey well, I'm okay with a reasonable ending. It doesn't even have to be great.
So what makes a good ending to me is, it's hard to say because endings are hard. I've tried writing before and bringing things to a close. It's not why you do things, so it's always just trying to find an eight over them. So I'm not really overly harsh on what makes a good ending. As it just needs to make logical sense to me. It needs, you've been going right the whole time, so don't turn left at the last second and throw that wrench in me. Don't tell me Gohan's awesome for 4 seasons or 4 sagas and then be like, you know what though, this kid's what it's all about. Stuff like that just drives me nuts. And that's about it for me. Like I said, for the most part, I'm a journey, not the destination kind of guy. Okay, so that will end our mini-sode on No Happy Endings. We would love to hear your opinion. The name's not that funny.
I like it. It's very good. I hear it in an accent. So
if you would like to contact us about your opinions, what endings drove you crazy, which endings were great even, that's all fine. We would love to hear it. You can reach us on our Twitter at Baka Podcast, our email, theanimebakaclub@gmail.com, or leave a comment wherever you found this podcast, and it will get to us, and we will probably respond. We love to discuss this stuff even outside the podcast proper. We are currently watching the first season of Bungou Stray Dogs, so I hope you are enjoying that, and I hope we are too. And I think that'll wrap it up for us, so let's go ahead and say goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
see you next time.
Sayonara.